welcome back to the Humanities, episode 30. I looked that up beforehand, so I wasn't doing the sort of Made Man YouTube thing where it's like the episode that followed the last one.
Empty space left to add number in here.
Have you seen Made Man on YouTube?
No.
It's ace. They have a comedian. It used to be Paul F. Tompkins, that's it, who was on Mr. Show, I think. Who would interview an actor, normally, or a musician, or somebody famous, but normally for about 20-25 minutes, and get some really good stories out of them. And he's been replaced now with Russell T. Peters, because I think Paul F. Tompkins went on to write The Muppets. I think it's just been cancelled.
I saw that. Yes, it has.
But it's really good. And Paul F. Tompkins used to go, so join me next week when I'll be speaking to different person. And I used to quite like that. But we haven't spoken in ages. How have you been? Because you've been near dead, I think.
I've been very, very ill. Actually, since we recorded the last episode with Kylie, the last two Humanities with Kylie we did, I started coughing. You'll probably have noticed during the episode.
No, this was the thing, because I feel like I've brought the gods down upon you. You were taking the piss out of me for being a little bit either sniffly or ill, or and then all of a sudden, you towards the end of the episode, you started to die.
Yeah, I woke up the next day feeling a bit deady, and then by Monday I was all the way curled up on the sofa, under a blanket, barely even able to move, dead. I tried going to work on the Wednesday and managed an hour, and then had to phone in help, say, I need to go home, I'm dying. And I went home and bathed up and went to sleep during the middle of the day, which is unusual for me because I don't sleep during the day. So that's how I know I'm not well.
Okay.
But I feel like a human being again, which is nice.
Because I often used to get this thing with illnesses whereby I'd generally be quite a fit and healthy person. I grew up in a house where it was like, Mom, hold on, I can go higher than that. Mom, I'm ill, I can't go to school. I wasn't a Cockney.
that was good. So you grew up in Cockney land.
Mum,
Mum, I can't go to school today.
No, it was a bit like that. I realised I was veering.
Why, today's Christmas Day.
God bless you, Mama Poppins. Scissors. No, I'd say like, oh, I'm feeling ill, can't go to school today. She'd be like, take 2 paracetamol. If you're really ill, they'll send you home. All right then. So so I grew up in that kind of house, the sort where it was like, oh, I'm really cold. Can we put the heating on? This is making. I'm going a bit Cockney again on that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, it's really cold. Can we put the heating on? Like, put a jumper on. Like, go on, jumper on. Put another one on. It turned into that thing from Friends where Joey just wears all of his
keeps wearing jumpers. My favourite ill story was when I was about 13, and it was the day that we were having Sky put in at home, and my sister was off from school ill. It's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, of course you're ill. On the day the Sky's going in, of course you're ill. Sure.
Was it a bit Rin Chin Chin Jimmy Hill?
Yeah. I went into to school, and again, within like half an hour, I was like, I'm dizzy, I can't stand up, I need to go home. Like, they sent me home, and I turned up at home, my mum just looked at me like, oh, ill are we? On Sky Day? It's like, I'm really ill, Mum, I promise. And then I managed to fall through their bedroom door, I think, during the middle of the day and pass out and wake up on the floor.
Oh, God.
And that's when they were like, oh, you really were ill then? I was like, yes, I was ill. Why didn't you believe me?
I'm just getting some horror flashbacks of the atrocities that happened in my house with regards to illness when I was a child. But that's one of the reasons why I don't ever visit anymore.
Mum, I've hurt my leg.
No, there's some horror stories back there. Ugh. Anyway, this, bizarrely enough, ties into the first thing that I want to talk about tonight. Because I saw something that I spoke about on the Humanities a little while ago when I was talking about the amazing Arrow Video
I remember.
setups that were in HMV, and where they were bringing back all these old films, but they were taking them up to 1080p and blue and 4K, and they were packing the Blu-rays with extra features and stuff, and all of the covers were being painted. So they weren't just using the original artwork from the cinema release or from the home release. They were getting people to paint brand new covers, and these covers are amazing, absolutely fantastic. And I was stood there in HMV reading the back of all these films, and the majority of them I'd not heard of before. But it was just like I like the thought of going in blind with this stuff. And one of the fun things about when we used to be on Love Film was getting a rental release and then just going through the extras, and it not just be. Because I can get really tired of going through Netflix and just like flicking through 100 films that I don't want to see, and just think like, oh, I can't be arsed. I'd rather go to sleep now. And so I've
wasted many hours of my life doing that as well.
Yeah.
Just scroll through the entire list and it's been an hour and you've not found a film yet. It's like, well, this was how I spent my evening.
But you were on Love Film at the same time as me, and for those people that are abroad, Love Film is kind of the equivalent of what Netflix used to be in the States, whereby it's a mail out rental service, but they used to be owned by Channel 4 in the UK, and they used to do games as well. They used to do games rentals.
That's what I got it for the games. It was amazing.
Because you used to be able to combine... it was to get games and DVD Blu-rays for the month. It was only about £3 difference, wasn't it?
It was stupid.
So yeah, it was a good way of, in that case, of testing out a game, see if it was your thing. But... I used to review films for a living at one point, and world cinema in particular, and a lot of the fun from Love Film was finding films that I'd never heard of and going in blind and finding new directors that I loved, and even on regular stuff, extras on home discs. Like I used to love commentary tracks so much. And I just thought, because it happened with Force Awakens, because I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, honestly, even though I was a big Star Wars nut when I was a kid, and everybody had told me how brilliant it was.
Which usually means probably a bit wank.
Well, judging by my tastes, it does, because I don't tend to always click with the things that everybody else does.
Like Bloodborne. Fuck you!
Like Mad Max Fury Road.
Fuck you!
Yeah. What's the other one the internet has always recommended? I can't get up more than halfway through.
Breaking Bad? Game of Thrones.
Hot Rod.
Hot Rod?
Yeah, it's a comedy that everybody seems to love. With Andy Samberg in.
Do you know what? I'm just going to assume it's probably good. Fuck you!
Yeah, you probably like it. You probably will. I can't get more than half an hour through it. It's just... Ugh. But yeah, so I thought, well, because Love Film are now owned by Amazon, and they've gotten rid of the game side of things, and
bastards.
You get the impression that Amazon would really like to phase it out, because I think they've put the prices up as well now, and phased out having the Amazon streaming stuff as part of it.
Well, it seems to actively stop them selling DVDs, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, but. I do think it's a good way of trying films that you wouldn't normally see, and
totally.
And oftentimes I'd look on Netflix and these films aren't on there, or when I got back into the Ray Harryhausen stuff recently, it was from seeing Golden Voyage, I think it was, on Now TV, and then I looked around and there wasn't any more Sinbad stuff on, but it had got 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and I was like, oh fucking hell, great. So I thought, yeah, I'll see if I can get a trial with Love Film for the month. And the only ones that they do as the trial now are the ones where you just get 4 discs in a month.
Okay.
And then they still do the other one where you can get maximum of 2 or 3 discs at a time, and you can rotate them. But yeah, when I first got on it, I got Force Awakens, which I didn't like, and then
out of 10, give me a number. Force Awakens.
4.
Oh,
Force Awakens.
Very, very good. See, I was a solid 6, 7.
Nah,
it was okay. It's hey, here's a Star Wars.
It doesn't even vaguely deserve that.
Do you know that bit in The Simpsons where Ralph Wiggum dresses up as Princess Leia, and they go, "I'm a Star Wars." That's what that film was.
I think The Force Awakens is the most snide and conniving and darkly considered film that I've seen in a long time. I mean, I'm used to seeing like big and bright like tokusatsu stuff that can go like a little bit cheesy and can go a little bit funny, or occasionally can go to like formula with your Super Sentai stuff. But this just seemed like, what do people like about Star Wars? Let's write them down in a line and do them again.
Well, that's what they said. I mean, the director, I can't remember which, is it Abrams doing them? Said that they wanted the first film to be like, hey, look, remember Star Wars? Like, follow the story beats of A New Hope, so that by the second one you'd be invested in the characters. And I can kind of see why they do that. But
when I put it on Twitter about it, I got some really good responses with people saying that I remember watching these films as a kid and loving them, and the same things that turned me inside out. I was sitting next to my young son or my young daughter, and I could see the same emotions that were that were important to me at that time were completely reflected in their eyes as they were looking up on the screen. And I get that 100%, and I get that 100% that people have really enjoyed sort of seeing the things that are really important to them again on the screen. But prior to seeing it, probably about a year before, I saw the start of Star Wars Rebels.
I never caught any of that.
I didn't see like the previous one that tied into like the prequels, but I heard it got really good. But Star Wars Rebels was a really promising, like I think I saw the opening 2 episodes, but there was a bit where I'm sure they got on board this space cruiser, and they were pretty much like heavy-handedly winking at you, going like, "Look, we're doing the Star Wars," and it was exactly kind of, was it leaning in something like, "These aren't the droids you're looking for," or doing like a Ben Kenobi.
To be like a passive, this isn't the correct robot.
It was really heavy-handed, and it stuck out a mile because it just felt like it was shoehorned in. And all of those things with Force Awakens just seemed like it was shoehorned in. And the only thing that I'm surprised it didn't do was having somebody's hand cut off. Because that was, if I had a clipboard, that would be the only one that was missing.
Like drinking game, absolutely fucked at that point.
Yeah, I would exempt from all of this Poe Dameron, because I thought he was amazing.
Yeah, right.
Oscar Isaac is fantastic. I would have taken like a Poe Dameron film.
I came out of that cinema. I said, if you don't like Poe Dameron, we ain't friends.
I did Poe Dameron. I love, but
Poe Dameron, love Poe Dameron.
But yeah, I love. I mean, Chris Schilling on Twitter was just like, I'm hovering over that mute button.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are plenty of things where, like my lack of joy for old school platformers that you love in particular. That have.
I've got some of those to talk about today.
that have sort of lent into like, has your heart died? But my love of Japanese superhero cinema, my love of Japanese superhero cinema has it kind of transcends that and reminds me that thankfully is not the case. But yeah, with the love film stuff after Force Awakens, they got Ant-Man, and I really enjoyed Ant-Man. I enjoyed it a lot. But the cool thing was that I was like, I wonder if there's a commentary on the disc, and the commentary is Peyton Reed and Paul Rudd, and amazing commentary because the thing that's considered with Ant-Man is that Edgar Wright developed it for all of these years and had an argument with Marvel, left the project, and the kind of the viewpoint is that everything that's good in that film is Edgar Wright's, and it's not true. There is so much stuff which you go, oh, that's definitely Edgar Wright, which isn't. Oh. And throughout the commentary, you hear Peyton Reed and Paul Rudd talking about the things that they came up with and like how hard they worked to get the film to where it is. And I get the impression that, reading between the lines, that Edgar Wright had done purely a heist movie, but Marvel wanted to tie it in a little more heavily to the Marvel universe. Edgar Wright didn't want to do that, so Marvel exercised their right to bring somebody else in to do something different. But yeah, it really comes across how much love they've got for what they were doing, how desperately hard they worked to get the end result being as it is, and I love the film to pieces. But that commentary was a joy.
See, I'm in the middle of catching up on my Marvels as well. I say catching up. What I mean is, we watched Deadpool the other night.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. Is it on home release now? Or did you get it from? All right.
Yeah. Ahoy.
Hey there, internet.
Jim lad, my pirate friend. Anyway, we watched Deadpool, and I really, really, really liked it.
Yeah,
it's funny, but because I expected it to kind of lean really heavily into that chimichanga bullshit, which is the thing about Deadpool I don't like, when they just kind of have him kind of being all zany for the sake of zany. I think this actually reined it in a bit, and it was a better experience for it, and Ryan Reynolds is basically perfect for this.
I heard that because I watch a lot of Fat Man on Batman on YouTube, which is an amazing channel. It's Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin talking about comics and movies and all that kind of stuff. Really great. They put out a lot of stuff, and they're normally between kind of about 20 minutes and an hour, which is just great when you're having your dinner or having your breakfast or whatever. And they were saying about it that I know it's got the hard R rating, but I would have no problems taking a child to that film, because if you take the the stuff that's around in the everyday anyway, there's actually a lot of heart and there's a moral to the story.
There is. It's actually quite got some nice story beats in it, and it kind of even plays on the fact that they couldn't license more than about 2 mutants from the X-Men, because I come to this mansion all the time, but I only ever see you two. Yeah, it's a little bit nudge, nudge, wink, wink, but it's not too much. And I think that they've played that well. I think they were better keeping all that stuff in the kind of the promo stuff, the release. Well, the actual film is a good watchable film, and even the opening credits are funny.
There's even stuff that I've seen online with interviews with the screenwriters, because they wrote Zombieland as well, which I quite enjoyed. And they were saying that how hard they fought to keep the budget down so that they got more control, and how they merged some characters in together and got rid of certain scenes. They were desperate to kind of get the film out and made, and they even tried a nicer, more kid-friendly version. It wasn't quite there, and you got the impression that it was at a point where Fox really didn't care about it, but there was this sort of fan uprising over that leaked sort of trailer that kicked in.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny that the film that they weren't so fussed about ended up doing so well. And do you know what?
It made more than Guardians of the Galaxy did.
Yeah, that's
which is
crazy.
Mental.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. But do you know who the director is?
No.
He's the head of Blur Studios, who make video game cutscenes.
What?
Yeah.
I know those guys.
Yeah. And
holy shit.
And I think they were working on an animated series for a Dark Horse property. What's it called? I want to say The Geek, but it's not. It's got the same title as
The Goon.
The Goon. It's got the same title as a brilliant hockey movie. But yeah, I think they've been trying to get that off the ground for a while. But Kevin Smith on Fat Man and Batman was saying, these guys used to work on video game cutscenes. So basically, you've maybe got 5 minutes to tell a chunk of story. So everything that you're doing is considered. There's no fat. You're going for the best shots. And he says there's absolutely no fat on that film.
No,
it's
dead
just
on.
streamlined. The direction's fantastic. But I find it really cool that here's somebody that's coming from video games and has gone into a movie and he's getting all this praise for his direction, where that's kind of what he's doing on a daily basis. And
but yeah, I'd agree with that, definitely. The film, it whips along, it fucking whips, and it does not slow down, and in a good way though. It has its quiet moments, but they don't stretch them. And so the fact it's come from a video game background is even better. It's we're the best.
I think that's kind of a
really
nice.
cool
little thing. But
get it watched. It's good. It's really funny. It's really legitimately, consistently funny as well.
To veer back around though.
Hang on. There we go.
Lovely.
That'd be very nice.
I was talking about the Arrow Video stuff, and there was a film that I'd not heard of that I really fancied that was on the shelf called Contamination.
Oh, I saw you put a tweet of the cover, which looked weird.
It's great. I mean, it says from the back of the box, it says branded as a video nasty in the UK. Director Luigi Cozzi's Contamination takes the premise of Ridley Scott's classic Alien and peppers it with exploding guts galore and a dangerously infectious soundtrack from celebrated Italian prog rockers Goblin.
What?
A cargo ship drifts up the Hudson River. Its crew all dead. Their bodies horribly mutated, turned inside out by an unknown force. Its freight, boxes upon boxes of glowing, pulsating green eggs. It soon becomes clear that these eggs are not of this planet, and someone intends to cultivate them here on Earth. But who? And to what end? Starring Italian horror veteran Ian McCulloch, brackets zombie flesh eaters. Contamination is an ultra-violent sci-fi epic that really gets under the skin. In space, no one can hear you scream, but on Earth, the terror rings loud and clear.
Oh.
Now, Luigi Cozzi actually
it's an alien jab, isn't it?
Luigi Cozzi actually did before this an American film which I've heard of, but I've not seen, with David Hasselhoff in. And he did it under the name Lewis Coates.
To be fair, if it's a film with David Hasselhoff in it, no one's seen it. It's fine.
No, this is not necessarily true, because I know quite a lot of people that have seen and absolutely love, for almost the wrong reasons, a film called Star Crash.
Never heard of it.
It's I think it's on Netflix US, but it's supposed to be a bit of a in the same way as this is a lean into Alien. It's kind of a lean into Star Wars, which makes me more curious about it. But yeah, so I got this film and I really no idea what to expect, but that makes for a great Saturday night with the curtains drawn and a massive bag of crisps. And I started watching it, and this boat is sort of coming into the harbour far too fast, and all of the people on board are dead, and these scientists go in to investigate the boat, and they find these alien eggs in coffee boxes.
Oh no!
Yeah, and the great thing is, like, when one of them gets squirted with this virus, because the eggs start glowing and going like a, which is just fucking ace.
Is it got that kind of horror movie thing where, like, the old 70s films where they kind of like glow with a really weird?
Yeah, and it's totally great. The special effects in it are brilliant. But like when one of the scientists gets squirted with this virus, you see the underneath of like their jumper or coat or whatever, and it literally is a balloon inflating and bursting into butcher's offal. But that's disgusting,
right.
And that's amazing. It's like, yeah, for full marks on that one. But I was watching it, I was going like, what's going on with the sound? And I changed it from because I knew it got like it seemed English, but it didn't seem sort of quite right. So I switched to Italian, and then that seemed like it was Italian over English. And so I switched back to English and just thought I was going mad. But what happened was, because the film was primarily made for the Italian market, they still cast English actors,
right?
Filmed them, but didn't record them. So
they left the microphone at home.
Yep. So they dubbed them into Italian for the cinema release. But then when the film kind of made a little bit of money and there was a bit of attention for it to get released elsewhere, they brought the original actors back in to dub themselves.
What?
So there's this. So every now and again, there's this slight sort of I don't know, misfire with the lips to sound, but it all adds to the charm of it.
That's like the whole thing about the release of the original Star Wars films on DVD, is that they'd lost the videos and it was a rip from a Laserdisc or something.
Really?
Yeah, we've got the DVD release, the 25th or 20th anniversary ones. It's got the Laserdisc rip on them because they'd lost the videos of the originals, which is wonderful.
But the film is fantastic. It's a little bit, it's funny in places, it's cheesy in places, it's scary in places. The monster at the end is fantastic, absolutely fantastic, and obviously it's all practical effects and stuff. But amongst the cast, they've got this. They were saying like afterwards that Ian McCulloch had been in two really big BBC series at the time, like something like Where Eagles Dare. And Survivors. So he was quite a well-known British actor. And then they've got this Canadian actress who as I understand it, has like translated the vagina monologues into French and all this sort of stuff. They've got a guy from Godfather 3 in there. And honestly, I finished the end of this film, and it's it's not a perfect film, but because of the ambition and the stuff that it tries to do, it's perfect. It's great. And there are certain moments where I was proper cackling, but it was never in a way that I felt was detrimental to the film. I was just enjoying it all as a whole. And on the Blu-ray, they've got a Q&A from a horror festival from about a year ago with the director and the lead actor. So they got Luigi Cozzi and they got Ian McCulloch on there. And somebody in the audience said, like, did it not bother you going from very well received and serious BBC TV series like Survivors and Where Eagles Dare? I'm sure it wasn't that, but it's something along these lines. Did it not bother you that you then go into an Italian B movie? And like Ian McCulloch is like really posh, and he said, like, well, for an out of work actor, the chance to work in New York and Italy and Colombia, really, really rather wonderful. And the film itself, I thought it was really rather funny. And I was like, spot on. And he was saying, like, they asked if there were any like strange stories, and he said, well, we filmed in Colombia, and quite a lot of money for the film was coming from a Colombian source. And he said, when we were flying back to America, we were landing at a very, very small airfield in Miami. The members of the crew, the Italian members of the crew who could speak English, were told to deny that they could speak English, and we were pretty sure that these alien eggs all contained cocaine.
Wow.
So this is amazing. And like I say, the guy was really posh, but he'd not got a side to him at all. And he says, my wife's brother is a Viscount in the House of Lords, and we were visiting at one point, and he says, oh, this terrible bother on Monday. There are these films that we're going to ban. And I said to him, oh, you'll see me in 3 of them. But it was, the whole thing was so enjoyable. And the Arrow films are 6 for 30 quid, I think, in HMV. And there's some cool ones like Buckaroo Banzai and stuff like as we mentioned on the previous podcast. But this was a peach, and I've got the second one that I've rented arrived on Saturday. I've not seen it yet, which is Fall of the House of Usher, which is a Vincent Price film directed by Roger Corman, based on an Edgar Allan Poe story. And
that's going to be weird. And
written by brilliant author Richard Matheson, who wrote the original I Am Legend and Where Dreams May Come, and like really celebrated author. And apparently, like, Vincent Price is amazing in it. But I'm well up for that. So again, I know that there's this film that sounds. I don't really know much more than the people that are involved in it, and there's loads of extras on the Blu-ray as well. I think a commentary from Roger Corman's on there, and all manner of other stuff. In fact, even on Contamination, the commentary track is the editor of Fangoria.
Okay.
Which is really cool. Like, a major fan of like the film. He's doing a commentary track on it. But fantastic stuff, and it's pretty much reignited my love of film. So I'm gonna cancel my Netflix and my Now TV and stuff, and just kind of go back to love film and just getting things like this and sort of celebrating the nerdy stuff, because it's something that I really enjoy. So
wow,
yeah,
well, that's a nice segue. Speaking of walking away from Netflix, I've been kind of drifting away from Netflix as well recently. Mate, this segue was brilliant. I'm really a fan of this one. Because Laura's been watching it. She's been watching a Musketeer show, which she's kind of fun. Yeah, it's all right. But there's not a lot for me on Netflix at the moment. I'm like, But do you know what we have been getting into? Into Crunchyroll, motherfucker.
Good man.
We finally subscribed after like a million years.
Honestly, you never unsubscribe.
Yeah. We subscribed for, I think it was for JoJo. because you can watch like the first episode of a lot of things for free.
Yeah, but there's adverts and there's afterwards and lower bit rates and
there's ads and stuff. But I saw one. I was like, oh, piss. Go on then. And you do the 30-day free trial, and we're in now. We're in like Flynn. I don't remember how far I was in last time I spoke to you. So I had just started last time we spoke, hadn't I?
It has been ages since we've actually spoken to each other in general.
Yeah, we're on the third season now.
Which is why tonight it's just been like, are you free? Should we have a chat? Should we record the chat?
Let's just chat. Yeah, let's just chat. Plenty to talk about. So yeah, we're on. We've been through the first 2 big seasons of JoJo, and we're on the third one, Stardust Crusaders, right now.
Oh, blimey, you have hammered in.
Yeah. So we've been through both of the Hamon seasons, and we're now on the season with the stands. And let me just say, stands are weird, and I love them. And I've spent far too long trying to work out what my stand would be.
Okay.
Like
explain stand.
Okay, so a stand is like a ghostly presence that sort of stands beside you, which is why it's called a stand. It's kind of next to you, and it can it's powered by your own fighting spirit in a way. And as you fight with it, if say your stand gets its arm broken, your arm breaks as well. So you have to fight clever, and each stand has got its own powers and its own abilities. And there's one called Magician's Red, who's the fiery bird man, who's good at fire. And his special move, I think, is Crossfire Hurricane, which is brilliant. And there's Star Platinum, which is JoJo, the main character JoJo, who is the grandson of the last JoJo.
Okay, so it's generation. It goes from generation to generation in series.
Actually,
then, does it?
So far it's skipped a generation each time as well. So the very first season was the Jonathan Joestar season.
Oh yeah, I saw a bit of Jonathan. Really enjoyed that.
Yep. Then it skips 2 whole generations. So you skip. It skips 1 generation, and it goes to his grandson, Joseph Joestar, which was, I think, my favourite JoJo so far, because he's a bit of a cocky twat. So he'll be fighting, and mid-fight he'll go, well, now you say, wait, you planned this all along? And the bad guy will go, wait, you planned this all along? It's really proper note funny as well.
You see, we're on the same page with this entirely.
It's legitimately hilarious.
It's entertainment, and when you laugh, it's not like you're laughing at it, you're laughing with it.
Oh, it knows how stupid it is.
But
it knows. It absolutely categorically knows how dumb it is, and that's why it's brilliant. I think, and then the third season skips ahead another 2 generations, but Joseph Joestar, JoJo 2, is still in it, but as a grumpy old man now.
Okay.
He's got older, and he doesn't like Japanese people. Because one of them married his daughter, and now he has to go to Japan all the time, and he hates it. And they're going to Japanese tea shops. I think a guy bumps into him at an airport. He's like, "Oh, don't worry, friend. Wait, you Japanese?" and kicks him up the arse.
Now, you see, I love legacies anyway, and I hadn't appreciated that it wasn't the same guy throughout all of the series. And this tempts me more now because I've seen a bit of JoJo and I really enjoyed it. But it was on because I have my anime Sunday mornings with my friend Pete and stuff.
I'm very well aware.
We watched like a number of episodes, and we proper adored it. But I think it was amidst either something else we were expecting came out the next week, like a movie, or we were doing Taku stuff, and so we didn't really get that level of continuity. But
I think you've got to be ready for stupid.
I've got no problems with that, mate. No problems whatsoever.
You've got to be in the stupid mood for it, and we've battered through. I think the first season's about 12 episodes. Second season's about 20 odd. The second season, right? Get this, has a Nazi in it who's actually a pretty cool guy.
Okay.
And you come away from it going, yeah, he's the best Nazi in any video I've seen. Well done, von Stroheim. You're a cool Nazi. Well done. But yeah, it's been properly fun, stupid fun. Turn brain off. Well, you need to keep your brain on a little bit because it's hard to keep up sometimes. But it doesn't slow down. It's just grade A stupid, but in a good way. Lots of posing, lots of stare downs, lots of. The third season has taken to captioning the Japanese words that come over the screen sometimes because it didn't used to do that. You just kind of get a bit of kanji come up, be like, oh, it's a thing. In season 3, they start captioning it. Turns out the one they use a lot is the word menacing. And it just says menacing on the screen.
I like.
It's wonderful. But yeah, we are balls deep in JoJo again. It's great. It's so weird. But I've not just been watching JoJo on the old Crunch, on Crunchyroll. Our list of shows is getting quite large now. But I've dipped into a show called, I think I'm getting this right, Is It Wrong to Try and Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon?
My friend, because there's a thing on Twitter where somebody just went like, yes it is. But again, Pete does quite like his cheekier side of anime, and said that he really enjoyed that.
It's okay actually. Yeah. It's about a world where gods have come down, and adventurers are there as well, and they want to go into this tower to fight a bunch of monsters, but they get their power from their patron god to go in and kill the monsters. It's kind of like a video game. Is the best way I can describe it. As they fight, they sometimes level up and they get stronger and their abilities go up, and they've got a weird tattoo on their back that shows how good they are at killing things. But the main thing is that every female character in the show, apart from one of them, wants to massively bone this boy that is the main character. They all want his boy dick. Like
so it is a harem comedy then.
A little bit, yeah. They're all like, oh, Belkun. His goddess woman who wears this incredibly impractical ribbon thing under her bosom. It doesn't look like it does anything except make the jiggle. Plot breasts. There's a maid that really likes him. There is a girl that works at the registration centre where you can turn in like how many monsters you've killed. She likes him as well. There's a little follower girl who's got a really big rucksack. She likes him as well. Like, everyone wants his boy dick. And he's not very old. He looks about 15.
No, you see, like, it's weird because I've not really watched one of these shows for a long time. But I remember back in the day, like, and then I know people can like point fingers at it and stuff, but I really got invested in Love Hina.
I've never watched it, but I'm aware of it.
Yeah, I would love Hina's like a young lad that starts working at something like the Hinata apartments, where there are all these different girls that are there, and hijinks ensue. But I really enjoyed it. I had obviously had like my favourites of the girls, and he was interesting with the little bits of romance that flickered in and then flickered out, and I really
see this has got it as well, but like it's got like moments of like it's serious Minotaur slaying time stuff going on as well. Like I'm gonna fight and I'm gonna be strong, and I'm gonna fight and be strong, and then the maid from the cafe is gonna trick me into washing dishes with her.
Yeah,
like it really kind of jerks back and forward, but it's kind of fun.
Because like, on that sort of note, have you seen that? There's a game that's come out, and I'm sure I've seen versions of it on 3DS and probably on Vita as well, because Vita is really the boob central. But this Sengen Kagura has just come out on PS4. And
I've heard about that.
Bitsocket did a really good video on it. It looks very Dynasty Warriors, but with cute girls whose clothes get torn as they fight, and when they transform, they turn naked, and some sort of scroll comes out of somewhere,
right?
Either from between boobs or seemingly from a bright light that's covering an area. And
what, like Middlesex?
Yeah, very much, yeah. Very much Middlesex, yes.
So I did.
I know, yeah. And in one case, a bit Arsenal. But yeah, I saw the Bitsocket review, which was really good. I'm sure they've done the 3DS one previously, but Classic Game Room did a review that went up at the weekend as well, and they were saying like it's absolutely brilliant. But there are some people that will get put off by the fact that the girls like the clothes tear and stuff, and that it is going for the booby market. But they said that the game itself is brilliant, and I was like, cool. If that drops to a certain price, I might have a pop at that. No pun intended.
With the curtain shut.
Well, I live on my own, so it doesn't fucking matter, does it?
Just in case, you know.
I'll invite Pete over, he'll love it.
Speaking of things you should do with the curtain shut, I've been watching one more show that I've watched one episode of so far, and confused me a little bit. The show is called Food Wars.
Oh yeah, I've
Yeah, it was recommended by a Twitter person who I completely forget now. I think it was Shub Hansarath.
Pete's raved about this.
Yeah,
so it's fabulous.
So the premise, from what I can tell,
said it made him hungry.
Yeah, it's about a chef kid who wants to be a good chef kid, and his dad owns a restaurant, and the main thing they're trying to do with their food is to give people a food orgasm. Mm-hmm. And there's a part where there's an evil lady who wants to buy the land the restaurant's on, and she's trying to put them out of business with trickery and guile, and she's like, make me some meat food.
Don't put that voice on. You've loved this.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And she's like, make me some meat food. But there's no meat because it's all spoiled by someone. So the guy's like, right, fuck this, and makes like a pretend meat casserole thing. Mm-hmm. And she's like, but it's so tasty. But there was all the meat was gone. It's like, I made it out of potatoes and herbs, and try it. And she bites it, and she starts having like orgasm face. And then the tough guys that are with her also try some. And they all just start, their clothes all pop off. And their private parts glow, and they start posing. Like, there's one who's really strong, and he just kind of like goes with his arms up, all kind of like barf. And the woman, of course, is incredibly voluptuous and is kind of all over the place, and lots of plot breasts going on. Yeah, food orgasms. The show.
Sounds good.
That's how I had it described to me. It was about food orgasms, and I've seen it, and yeah, it's kind of dumb. But, like, I didn't expect it to get all naked, exploding, glowing penis parts.
You see, this is the second time that you've described something as being dumb. And I know you're not doing it in that degree of put down, but I think you're doing it in the way that it's really entertaining you in all regards, and it's not trying to be.
I like dumb.
It's not trying to be high art. It's
I
just
I can't stand
you.
things that take themselves too bloody seriously. Like this is kind of low brain stuff, but in a good way. Like it's just fun. Maybe I should use, maybe not dumb. It's substitute every time I say dumb with the word fun. Like, it's fun. It knows what it is. It's a silly show about food wank. And that's the I don't know what else to say.
Well, to veer into my next thing.
Hang on.
I went to, and I'm not really going to go into this very much, but I went to see Civil War last week. I went to the cinema for the first time in years.
Okay.
Because I fancied seeing Civil War. Plus, I think it was £6.50 to get in on a Sunday night.
That's
all
basically
day,
free compared to cinemas these days.
It's 1980s prices, which is what we love. So I went in to see that and quite enjoyed it. Although I will say, like, my one caveat is that there's a scene with Tony Stark dressing like the rest of the Avengers and stuff. I don't know if it's like Stark's mansion or Shield clubhouse or whatever it was, but like there's all this amazing technology around. There's a fucking cafetiere on the table. Telling me you can't get a world class coffee machine.
Are you coffee snobbing?
Yeah, I am.
Fucking hell.
Well, I even make reference to it, but like in a
review, 2 out of 5 stars, couldn't afford a real cafetiere.
I know. Well, not even a real cafetiere. Fucking hell, not even a mocha pot. Disgusting. 9 out of 10. Won't go back again. It was great though.
Worst film ever.
No, it was really good. I did enjoy it. But the
if
highlight.
If one hasn't seen Age of Ultron, would you recommend seeing it? Because I haven't seen it yet.
It's. I'd say. I know when folks have mentioned on Twitter, like if there's any films that they should see before they see it. I think Ant-Man's a good one to see anyway because it's brilliant, but that does sort of tie into there. Winter Soldier is on Netflix anyway, if you haven't seen that. But I really like that. Age of Ultron is all right, I suppose, but it's referenced enough for it to not be necessary.
Okay.
But if I was saying to anybody else, I'd say Winter Soldier and Ant-Man before you go in. But as Comic Book Girl 19 said on YouTube, Marvel fixed Spider-Man in 2 seconds. And Spider-Man is phenomenal in it. And one thing that I didn't realise until I heard Kevin Smith talking about it as well, that Tom Holland isn't just doing an American accent, he's doing a Queen's accent. And with Kevin Smith being from Jersey, he picked up that it was a Queen's accent. It's like, oh, that's really cool. But he's amazing. No Spider-Man pun intended. But
have you heard that actually Tobey Maguire sent him a couple of nice tweets going, looking forward to it.
Yeah, honestly, he's fantastic in it. But also the part where Spider-Man and Ant-Man come into it, like, it's a very Mancunian candidate.
Not Mancunian candidate.
No, that would be me. With superheroes in there, but it does it really well. Black Panther's phenomenal in it as well. But the point where Spider-Man and Ant-Man come into it, the film basically takes like a huge breather, and with the smiles that come in that section as well, it's a really nice pacing break between kind of the start and the ending and stuff. But yeah, I'm all over that Spider-Man film that's coming out. So
I think we're catching it. We're off in a week's time. We've got a week off, so we're probably going to catch up on our Marvel then, I think.
So yeah, but that's
cool.
That was only the second best superhero thing that I saw last week.
Right, what tokusatsu thing is it?
It is a tokusatsu thing.
Fucking you're so easy.
And no, but this is just incredible, right? And you'll love this because
Are you going to describe another thing?
I am going to describe another thing.
Okay, I can't Google it today because for reasons I'm not on my real computer, so I can't Google it. So you have to paint me a word picture.
Doesn't really matter, right? Tokusatsu stuff has taken me back to comics of my youth, and even last night I watched the Superhero Tyson Kamen Rider 3 movie again, which is just fucking joy. It's bonkers as fuck, but I love it to pieces. And this year is Kamen Rider's 45th anniversary. Yeah, it's Super Sentai, i.e. like the original Japanese Power Rangers. It's 40th anniversary this year. But yeah, Kamen Rider's 45th anniversary. In the start of the year, they celebrated the anniversary by putting out a movie called Kamen Rider 1, which starred Hiroshi Fujioka, who many folks will know as Sagata Shanjiro from the Sega Saturn ads.
I've heard of him, yeah.
He was also, forgive the pronunciation here, Aweo Hazuki in the Shenmue games. Right. They put him back in the lead role of Takeshi Hongo, the first Kamen Rider. Right. Hiroshi Fukioja is 70.
Ooh.
70! And he looks amazing. So it's like, okay, that's pretty cool. That's a nice way of celebrating where you've come from by doing a movie around the original actor. That's awesome. So they announced the second project, and it was something called Kamen Rider Amazons.
Right.
And it's a web series. They've tied up a deal in Japan with Amazon, funnily enough. And the original Kamen Rider Amazon was, the characters were from the 70s, 80s, I think, again. I don't really know a huge amount about them, but they've, kind of with this series, picture Batman and the Joker as the same person. One trying not to Hulk out into the other.
Okay.
But set within the world of Resident Evil Remake.
Right.
With a hint of the Colonial Marines from Aliens, sorry.
I was going to say.
So yeah,
okay.
It tells the tale of a strike team for a pharmaceutical company who are hunting down Amazons, which are humans affected with a virus of their creation. Like at the start, the team arrive at a suburban location dressed as pest control. One of them will go round to the neighbours and tell them what's happening, that there may be loud noises and not to be alarmed. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew will go into a house, find a mutated creature, often with human beings cocooned and nested into the walls and into the ceilings. So rather than it being like a massive building or something that they're in, there's something quite creepy about going into a place with no lights on that's really dark and having to go up the stairs and like check all the rooms and stuff. I really kind of dug that. But one of this team is an Amazon who's he's a young lad who doesn't do it for payment like the rest of the team. The rest of the team are kind of on this points to yen ratio, depending on how dangerous the creature is that they're going up against.
Okay.
But this young lad does it for his friends and free hamburgers.
Of course he does.
No, he's quite a simple lad, and after within the after effects of the transformation that he does into kind of this creature, it often leaves him like trembling and like crying uncontrollably. It's really interesting to see the after effects. But add to this a young boy who's kept indoors by his mother, who
Right.
has to take daily drugs to keep him healthy, who eventually escapes the confines of this sort of aquarium that he lives in and into the real world. The lack of these drugs begin to affect him, and something in his mind snaps. He's met by this guy who takes him in, and the guy lives on this rooftop apartment with his girlfriend. They have chickens on the roof. He eats a lot of raw eggs. The boy's given a special belt, told that he's an Amazon, and that there's a way to control the rage, and that is that there's this craving for human flesh, but you can actually rein that in a little. The belt makes you stronger, but if you eat proteins like meats, eggs, chicken, and all that kind of stuff, it will sort of keep that in check a little bit.
Oh, hence the eggs. Okay.
Yeah, but this guy is hunting down the vermin one by one. All of these things have escaped from the pharmaceutical company and their experiments, and there's 4,000 of them in Tokyo.
Right.
4,000, right? So the way the bright and the brilliant pillars into the mundanity of everyday life is incredible. Like I say, the visual kind of almost like the muted sort of greens and monochromes are very, very Resident Evil remake. There's a touch of David Lynch to the direction. It's wonderfully surreal. The two main Amazon costumes, when you see the heroes, if you see them in normal photographs, they're stupendously bright, but within the filter that they're shot in, they just come across as like really, really resonant. Each of the episodes has massive surprises. Like the first episode is quite slow, but it really beds you into knowing this strike team from the pharmaceutical company, so that as they start adding little bits to it as it goes along, it sort of branches out naturally from there, and you kind of give a shit about them. These are people that are working on a really low wage, and the more they kill, the more money they come back with, and they've got debts, and they'll live in the same house, and it eventually starts to branch out into almost like a Twilight Zone thing, with where these Amazons are living and hunting within the everyday world. And it's fantastic the way that they do it. It's really, really cool. Like, there's an episode where there's a target that they keep getting that keeps disappearing, and the target, its human form, is a bus driver, and it will go around with this bus, which it will fill up with passengers, go into an underpass, and all of the Amazons are lining the inside of this tunnel, and the bus will go into it, and they'll all seize on the bus and tear people apart, and then drive off again. There's one woman that lives in this apartment block who's keeps phoning up companies going like, oh, can you come round and fix my fridge? And everybody that comes round, she murders and puts into the freezer compartment. She's like feeding on the flesh and stuff. And it's like, fucking hell, this is ace. So yeah, even all of the people that are working on it have worked on the really old like Kamen Riders and haven't been on it for years. The producer, Shinichi Shikakura, who is the CEO of Toei, the production company, at this event came on stage and said, "Do you think Kamen Rider's interesting lately? Actually, I don't. The most unusual series to date is, in my opinion, Kamen Rider Amazon. I wanted to use this opportunity to make Amazon a major player again and bring the spikiness back to the Heisei Riders." So the whole series is written by Yasuko Kobayashi, and her screenwriting credits include Witchblade, Claymore, Attack on Titan, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and loads of the older Kamen Rider stuff. And there's this really surreal soundtrack by Kuniaki Haishima. I couldn't say this. Haishima.
Your Japanese name game is on point today.
I know, thanks, man. He's worked on loads of sort of older Gundam and Macross stuff.
Okay.
But it's great. There's going to be 13 episodes. There's 6 available currently. And the nice thing about it is a darker Kamen Rider series, but it doesn't feel like the like, oh yeah, Kamen Rider would just make this really realistic. It kind of feels like when comics used to have just a darker place in their universe when DC Comics had like a Swamp Thing and Doom Patrol and Animal Man, like and you know, you still had your Supermans and your Green Lanterns, all that kind of stuff, but there was this darker edge that were its own, but like way before they became like Vertigo and went sort of harder in that regard, or kind of like the traditional darker Marvel stuff, I guess, like your Ghost Riders or your Daredevils or
Punisher, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, maybe, yeah. But it's brilliant so far. It's not just good; it's brilliant, and it's a total like slow burn that it comes across with the same criticisms that I had about Star Wars and it being conniving. This just seems really confident and sincere. And I think that's what I like about it. That when they do play almost like a rider trope in there, and not particularly a heavy-handed one, it still comes across as like fuck, because you don't expect it. It's outstanding, and I love it to pieces. And they're obviously doing these things on really, really tiny budgets, but they're again, their location scouting's fantastic. The direction is unbelievable. They must have storyboarded the heck out of it. I'm desperately impressed with it.
Is it on Crunchy?
It's not, but I can link you. Yes, but it is really good, really good. Although I mentioned before, like some of the Ultraman stuff is on Crunchy's.
I keep seeing that. I don't know which one to pick to start with.
I started with Ultraman X.
Okay.
Because it's the newest one, and it's a sweet story. It's like a sweet series. Ultraman X is. You're not going to get really much that's particularly dark in there, but when it introduces sort of more mature themes, it does so really well. I was just entertained by it, and that was my lead into all of this stuff. So yeah, mate,
I'll give it a click.
Do it.
I will.
So,
do you want to talk about video games then?
Can do. I've not really been playing much other than the one that we talk about on the other podcast, but I do have some.
What, Destiny?
I do have something video game related to close out with. But
okay.
You've been playing Ratchet and Clank. I know that much.
I have, haven't I? Yeah.
And it's done really well, surprisingly well.
It's done good numbers.
Because you were looking forward to this, like
right, I was.
You were saying like as soon as this comes out, that Dark Souls 3 is getting put on the
backburnered, and it did. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I'd finished it by that point, so it wasn't really a problem. But it got backburnered, and I got straight into Ratchet and Clank. It's good, but it isn't superb. And I was expecting superb, and I realised that's quite a lofty expectation. So Ratchet and Clank PS4, new Ratchet and Clank, is a reimagining of the first game, but using the plot of the film as its framework to work with.
And cutscenes as well, doesn't it?
Yes, because frequently, as you're playing, it will come up with the gameplay recording paused because you entered a blocked scene, which means, it's part of the film.
Have you seen the film?
No.
Are you going to see the film?
It's not come out in the UK, is it?
Yeah, well, it's reviewed by Mark Commode a couple of weeks ago.
But it's not come out in the UK.
I presume.
No, so they've not released it. I'm sure they haven't released it.
Check your local indie cinema.
If they haven't released, because I was getting annoyed about that. I was like, you bunch of wankers. If I only heard a film I want to see, and they don't release it here, you bastards. Anyway, I've not seen the film yet, but now I've played the game, it's not so big of an urgency at this point. So, the actual gameplay, dead on. Like, it's Ratchet and Clank, it's good. Like, the guns are fun, the levels are, for some parts of them, almost one-to-one recreations of the same level in the first game. Like the same layouts, the same item placement, like the same crate placements even sometimes, enemies in similar places. Like, it's like, I know this place. I'm running around and I know where I am straight away, which takes away some of the magic, but implies a different kind of magic, if you know what I mean. Like, it's I'm running through the memories, and it's like how I remember it looking, as opposed to how it actually looked. It's how it felt like it looked. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, I'm playing my rose-tinted memories. Oh, this is nice. Oh, look, I've got a Groovitron. Let's make everyone dance. You can make a tank do a moonwalk.
I like the pixel gun from the stuff that I've seen. That looks awesome.
And it does a cute little noise when you smash a thing that's been pixelized. There's some fun guns in there. There wasn't as many of the stupid Ratchet and Clank 1 ones that I was expecting. For instance, there's no bouncer. Well, there is if you pre-order. It shoots like a ball that explodes.
Really? That's pre-order only?
Pre-order only. The suck cannon is not there, which is a weapon that sucks in smaller enemies and shoots them back at larger ones.
Okay.
Which is brilliant. There's no decoy glove, which would throw out a blow-up copy of you that enemies would fight, so you could run around behind them.
These aren't like purchasable.
No, they're not in the game.
So why
I have all the guns.
Why have they cut them out? Because I know one of the big things about is it Insomniac, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is always been their guns.
Well, the guns they've got are fun. Like, they've got the sniper rifle, which is the plasma striker, which is fun. The Predator launcher, which is kind of a homing rocket thing where you can kind of hold the button down and it will target a few enemies. You can fire them off. There's a lot of silly ones in there. There's the Pyrocita, which is like a flamethrower. And the guns upgrade well. Like Mr. Zircon, your floating buddy who will chat away as you play. And it's like, hello, alien. Mr. Zircon would like to show you how to die. He's brilliant. And if you kind of float around for a while without killing anything, you get a Mr. Zircon is bored. Zircon's brilliant. And as he upgrades, if you get into level 5, it becomes Zircon Junior. So you get Zircon and you get a baby Zircon. With a little baby voice going, "It's me, baby Zircon, here to kill you." It's brilliant. It's really fun. And it's got the classic, there's a Rhino in it as well, which is the classic Ratchet and Clank fuck you gun. This time to upgrade it, you have to collect Rhino cards, which are hidden around the level. It's got like a card collection in the game, so you can get like collectible trading cards of like memories of the old games. And if you collect a set, say you collect the Buzzblade set, which is a gun that shoots out like buzz razors. You collect all 3 cards in the Buzzblade set, and you will unlock the ability to buy the super version when you go to challenge mode when you've beaten the game. The super versions being weapons you can level up to another 5 levels, because each weapon can be upgraded to level 5. And then when you play challenge mode, which is the uber hard version, you can then buy the guns fresh and then re-upgrade them to kind of stupid levels. Which is fun, and it kind of gives you a point to going around finding all the collectible cards. Like, you want to pick the cards up because you want the guns. And it's fun. There's lots of nostalgia in there. There's lots of pictures of things that might not have made it into the full game. Like, oh, it's that guy. Oh, it's him. That's cool. And there's lots of like silly lore on the back, and some of it's quite funny. I think when you pick up the card for the Rhino 2, which was the one from the second Ratchet and Clank games, it's captured as, you can't upgrade this gun because it's already powerful enough, which is pretty fun. The Rhino in this game shoots a never-ending explosion of bullets and rockets, which is nice. It does play music over the top as you fire it, but unlike Crack in Time, it doesn't play the 1812 overture.
Okay.
Because Crack in Time, when it starts playing that, you don't want to let go of the button ever. Like, this is like, the world is exploding and I'm the reason and everything is good. But it plays a bit of music behind it, but it's not as good as the 1812. So it plays fun. Like, it plays good. The Clank sections as well play really well. It's got some good puzzles. Not as good as Crack in Time, but I don't think they're ever going to beat that, because the Crack in Time puzzles for Clank were perfect. But the problem with it I've got is that because it's sort of based on the movie, which is already based on the game, like, the plot isn't as good.
I think they're a bit hamstrung by that.
Yeah, like, for instance, the actual Ratchet and Clank pairing themselves. So Clank escapes from the Warbot factory, gets shot out of the sky, crash lands, Ratchet picks him up, and within 5 minutes they're best friends forever. And there's never any tension between them. In the first game, they have a proper falling out in the middle of the game.
I was going to say, weren't they kind of quite antagonistic towards one another initially?
Yeah, they kind of meet up and they're sort of friends, and they sort of fall out, and then they come back together as better friends for it, and it's great. There was a nice little arc, but that arc is completely missing in this one. And they're just kind of, oh, we're bros now. Clank is kind of essentially an extra add-on to the plot of this one. Like, I feel like he might not even have needed to be there, which is terrifying when he's half the game.
Yeah.
They focus more on like the Blarg, which are the enemies. They've shoehorned in Nefarious, who is my favourite villain ever, but before he went all robot crazy.
Okay.
When he was still a flesh and blood mad scientist. And I don't think it works. I don't think he even needs to be there. Because I love Nefarious. Like, he's legitimately my favourite villain in anything ever because he makes me laugh. Every single line he's on screen is fun. And part of that is his butler, Lawrence, who's always around with him. His butler isn't in this one, so you don't get a single sort of angry Lawrence in the entire game, and that made me sad. There's a very good annihilate in there, but like it's kind of missing. Like, and he's kind of in there because like, hey, this is Nefarious, but before we're doing a sort of origin, we're setting up for another film.
Because you see, I kind of like a good hammy villain and this sort of stuff. Because when I got into Skylanders Swap Force, that the villain is voiced by Richard Horvitz doing exactly his Invader Zim, and it's wonderful. I love that to pieces because it was just making me giggle, like these massive overreactions even before they started doing boss battles. Like there was one boss who her entire attack pattern was based around a song and the lines that she was singing. Just please give me that all day long. That's phenomenal.
That's clever. But like, I like a good hammy villain, like a villain who's so ham that they're gammon.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Bacon.
But like Nefarious, he didn't feel like right. Like the plot kind of wasn't really quite good enough. Cork was in there. Cork was funny, but he wasn't quite there.
Oh man,
it was missing a fair bit, and there were a few characters that I thought could have made it in that didn't. Helga, who runs the fitness course, was completely cut out in favour of the new Galactic Rangers, who are okay, but they're a little bit add-on. You know, it's like, who cares? I've forgotten their names. That's how much I don't really care. But the good thing is, at the end of the game, you unlock the Insomniac Museum. And if you've collected all the gold bolts, which I have, you can go into a total of 6 like hangars, and they've got a collection of like concept art kind of slapped on the walls and models that have been used before. In the first one, they've got the PS2 model for Captain Quark in like a shipping crate. Rusty Pete from the PS3 games as well, just sitting on the floor in a corner. It's like, oh, I know him. Unused models kind of sitting around the place. And in the 6th one you go in, it's got every single gun from the first Ratchet and Clank game, like the PS2 models, in like a crate for you to walk around and have a look at. And that's when I was like, oh man, that isn't in it. That isn't in it. The Visibomb gun isn't in it.
So that was adding insult to injury.
A little bit, yeah. Like, well, the game is in the game, but you can't use it. It's there.
Yeah, but it would have been cool if at that point you had them for like the next run in the game. Because I know that when I do appreciate games that give you something a little bit more the second time you go around them. And this obviously ties into like Dark Souls 2, but in an Insomniac way, I know on the first Resistance, when you went on the second run around, you had weapons that weren't available on the first run.
Well, you sort of get that in Ratchet and Clank, like the challenge run thing. You always start with all the guns that you had at the end of the game, which is by that point ridiculous.
Yeah, but brand new.
You can level them up again fresh to make them even stupider.
Yeah, but brand new weapons that weren't even in the first run of the game.
That is cool.
That's something that I loved about that first Resistance.
But yeah, so it's not that it's a bad game, because it plays brilliant. Like, it plays really good, and it's funny, and it did make me laugh, but it's just not quite... It's not quite as good, if you know what I mean. It's not quite as good. And I've played it all the way to the end. I pissed the last boss in about 20 seconds, because I had the Rhino by that point, so I just hit the fire button and watched it die.
And you don't think it's because your heart's dead, it's because you've got a critical opinion about it?
I think I do. No, they've cut some things out, and I understand why some of the planets were cut and how I like the changes they've made to ones that were a little bit thin originally. You know, they've added things to do in them, which is fun, but it just feels like it's missing something. It feels like a low budget game. Like even the cutscenes when the people are talking. Previously, they'd talk and they'd have personality in their eyes, and they'd be looking at each other and sort of chatting and reacting. In this one, it's just 2 models stood next to each other, doing generic emotes at each other, not even really looking at each other, and that made me quite sad. I was like, because once I'd noticed it, I kept noticing it and kept noticing it.
Do you think on the upswing of this though that if it is a lower budget and it feels like that,
Yeah.
Do you think that the success that it's had, the money that he would have made beyond the budget that was spent on it, plus Insomniac kind of snuggling up to Sony again, is going to mean that you're going to get another one?
Okay, I'm conflicted on this because, I think we will, but I think it'll be tied to another film.
Okay.
And that's going to make it bad still, because I think now they've started it, I think they're now locked in with it. I can't see them sort of starting fresh in another reboot. As the best returning character says, the plumber, see you in the next reboot. Who's the most wonderful fourth wall breaking character you've ever met. He's delightful.
I did notice, and kudos to them, that at the point that Ratchet and Clank was coming out on PS4, Microsoft put Sunset Overdrive on Xbox Live Gold, games with gold. It's like, well played.
Everything's coming up Somniac.
Yeah.
But in Ratchet and Clank 2, Going Commando as it was titled here, like the plumber in that has the best line, because they walk up and they go, plumber's crack, and he turns around and goes, what? And they go, the plumber's back. And the plumber's back is a line they keep using throughout the series, and it's like, I love that. It's really good. But like, I want them to make PS4 Ratchet and Clank games. I really do, but I want them to get away from the films. They can breathe without the films. Like, Crack in Time is basically perfect. Like, as an action 3D platformer goes, it is about as good as you can get. You can shove your Mario 64 up your poop hole.
You're so incendiary, sir.
I am having fighting words with the anonymous internet. You can shove it right up your poop hole because Ratchet and Clank Crack in Time is perfect. I liked it. Like, solid 7.
Right, well, to close, I mean, it's only really a kind of a slight point here, but it's...
I've got more, but you can carry on.
It's drifted sort of under the radar a little bit, but it's regarding Xbox One backwards compatibility. Because the games, rather than it being like a big list every now and again, they've kind of continued to trickle out at a regular rate. And it's easy to miss articles now because it's just like, these games are out now. And like on May the 4th, they put both of the Force Unleashed games on backwards compatible, which I thought was quite a nice little touch to say it was that day. I was looking through the list, and like I say, a lot of these have slipped between the cracks, but I noticed that the Paddy Stardust approved Double Dragon Neon is now available on Xbox One.
Oh, get on that shit.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
I still listen to that soundtrack on my phone all the time.
It is a great soundtrack. But yeah, the other day they announced that Deus Ex Human Revolution, the director's cut.
Who? Oh,
Deus
Ex, sorry. Yeah. Deus Ex.
And the original game was on backwards compatibility, I think, the start of the year. But because I picked up the director's cut beforehand, before it came on.
You played it on the Wii, didn't you?
No, I mean I picked it up on Xbox One, on Xbox 360. Yeah. Like when it was announced that it was available on backwards compatibility.
Okay.
Before it became free on Games with Gold, but it turned out the director's cut wasn't the one that was available. It was just the original. Yeah. And one of the things that they've been working on for a while has been multiple disc backwards compatibility stuff.
Oh yeah, I heard about this. Yeah.
So
they've got it working, haven't they now?
Yeah. So a few people were like, "Does this mean they've got it working?" And like today, they've made a again a low key announcement that they've now figured out how to do it. So this, I think they're obviously playing their cards close to their chest before E3, but this just means that there's a potential for some really, really good games to be coming. Like, I really want Lost Odyssey.
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, it's not just me as well. It's the one that comes up in all of the lists when people are talking about like, it'd be great to, of the most beloved 360 games that comes up all the time. And even at the point that the original game was released, considering the install base for the 360, that game did really well. Yeah, and it is a belting game on 4 discs as well. So I presume the answer is going to be that you'll just put in the first disc, And because now when you put in the disc, it's basically just using that as an I can't even say it. Authentication to download shut up. To download like the entire game to your hard drive. So that's just pretty much the key. So I presume that they will just have a massive download of all 4 discs.
Do you think it'll have like a switch disc option like the Vita has for dealing with?
Well, they had the thing with Witcher 2, which they just gave away free on Xbox Live 1 month, and that I think the original game is maybe 3 discs, and I think they got around that by saying that everybody can have it free, but it was one long download, and I think the original was as well on digital download, whereas a lot of these games, like say, like a Dead Space 2, for example, didn't have a digital release. At that point, it was just like your shop bought stuff. That wasn't on the store at all.
You went to a shop and you bought a game.
Yeah, but it's weird to see how we take for granted now that there's going to be digital options as well. But even games that don't really seem that old, like Dead Space 2, didn't have that kind of option. But we're waiting up. There's lots of stuff that's been confirmed that's not out yet. There's the BioShock games, Skate 3, Black Ops 2.
Skate 3 will do well.
Yeah, well, they're even saying that that obviously with the multiple disc stuff, that it means that Mass Effect 2 and 3 can join the first one.
Of course.
Yeah, so there's a number of options that are there, but and also there was a leak a while ago by saying that there was one guy who had got like versions of games on his Xbox One that weren't out to download. And if you went to this guy's profile, looked at his profile, and the games that he got, there was a way that you could download if you owned that game digitally, you could download it to your console.
Like a weird workaround where you plug the game in or something and it finds it.
So Microsoft were obviously saying like we're testing games all the time, and this is a bug. But for about half an hour, I had Red Dead Redemption on my Xbox One.
Ooh.
And people online that had played it, that had got to it like way before me, were saying it's absolutely perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a great transition. It looks great, and it's wonderful to play that on Xbox One. I bought it ages ago digitally on 360. Never played it. So when it was sort of rumoured that was one of the most asked for games, like it was one of those points where I just thought, yeah, that'll be the point that I play it. So
mate, that game is brilliant. That game is flat brilliant.
But you remember at the last E3 when we saw the backwards compatibility stuff, and we were like, fuck, that's a big deal. I'm just wondering kind of how much of a splash that's going to make this year if they're then going, here's Dragon's Dogma, here's Dead Space 2. You know what I mean?
Boom.
Yeah, I just think that's pretty cool. And also, if E3 is going to bring stuff like Red Dead Redemption 2 and the stuff that they can add previous games as ways, little enticements to buy new ones, I think that's pretty cool, because you got was it Quantum Break recently, where you got Alan Wake, American Nightmare, and all of the DLC for Alan Wake.
Didn't Dark Souls 3 come with Dark Souls 1 as well?
Yeah, but that was even packed in box, which is I like that. I mean, Fallout 4 came with Fallout 3, and I just think that's really neat. And the fact that places like Game are now putting little stickers on the spines as well.
That's cool.
And somebody else, I was talking to somebody last week who's a really big Metal Gear fan, and they were saying, well, it was great to have Metal Gear 2, Peace Walker, and 3 like in HD on his 360. It would just be great to have them sitting there on his hard drive on his Xbox One, like alongside Phantom Pain. just whenever he wants to dip into it. It's like, yeah, that's really neat. I kind of dig that, and it's nice that machines are getting to the point where that's possible.
You can load it all up and have it all sitting there good to go whenever you feel like it.
Yeah, there's a little caveat. There was something I heard on a podcast recently where they were saying that wouldn't it be cool with more of a focus on things being available going forward, so that we're not, because consoles are becoming more like PCs. That wouldn't it be great if a game was available on one system, that when the next system came out, you could still play that game, you'd still got that game. And somebody was saying, I wonder why nobody has come up with the idea yet that instead of having to rebuy games for different consoles and stuff, wouldn't it be cool to, if maybe you paid twice as much for Final Fantasy VII, and that essentially is a contract with Square that whenever they put that out on a new system, it's yours automatically. You own Final Fantasy VII on whatever it runs on forever. I think that's pretty neat.
It's a nice idea, but the amount of HD remasters and re-releases we've got that do really, really well, a lot of these things come out and they always seem to top the charts. Like Resident Evil remake came out, topped the charts and did crazy money. I think there's too much money in it. It's a nice world to live in, but I don't think it's going to happen.
It depends, sort of I don't know the price that they
see. What I want is I want PS3 digital games to work on my PS4, so I can play fucking Double Dragon Neon on my PS4.
You see,
that's what I need.
I knew that mentioning that game, because nobody's talking about that.
I fucking love that game.
I knew that mentioning that to you would be like, that'd be really cool if owning that on the PS3 would mean that I could play it on my PS4.
Do you know what the Eternal Sadness is with that one? I've only ever played it single player.
No, how have you not played that with Laura?
Laura didn't want to play it, and I played a little bit with Sean, with our pal Sean, but we never really got that far with it.
Because there's another fighting game that's come out at the same time, like I think the remaster of Final Fight.
It rings a small bell.
So it's nice to see some remasters of old arcade games.
Games.
Or those old theme games are coming to the fore. But yeah, I just think it's a nice little touch to have on a console, and I'm curious to see what happens now that they can do something they promised they were working on. And I know they have said before that they're keeping an eye on whether people want the original Xbox games on Xbox One.
Yeah.
If they do that,
games on my PS4.
If they did that, I mean,
I've been playing them on my Vita recently. I've been playing Final Fantasy 9 even. On my Vita. I did that thing, when you play an RPG and you leave it alone for a while and you log back in, you're like, what the fuck was I doing? And I just unlocked the ship, so I was in some random place of the world. Like, where the fuck was I supposed to go? And no one would tell me.
I mean, I just like the thought of coming home and putting on Burnout 3, and just being able to play Burnout 3.
See, for me, it would be Paradise with me, because I always like the first 5 minutes of Burnout Paradise, because it always starts with Paradise City, and I always just take a car and just drive as fast as I fucking can for 5 minutes.
Well, Paradise is confirmed, isn't it? It's on one, that's been confirmed for a while.
Oh, nifty.
So they're just waiting to kind of push the button on that, like they are with the BioShocks and Skate 3 and stuff. So
if you can get Burnout Revenge on there, you can then load up 5 separate versions of Avril Lavigne's Girlfriend in different languages and just have that as your soundtrack.
But
I did that. It made me angry. It made me drive better.
I enjoyed Burnout Revenge, but what was it? There's an All American Reject song on there that I really, really loved. I can't remember what it was, and I think it only came on like every now and again. But I do remember now actually playing it and Girlfriend being on at the point where you're running into the back of the cars and they're just flying off. that was quite.
And then the French version plays, and you're like, "What is this?"
What? I don't remember that.
It seriously had like 6 different versions of that goddamn song. I think I had the English version and the Japanese version loaded up because they were the most annoying, and it just made me angry, and I feel like I drove better. Maybe I didn't. I don't know, but it was a fun hour anyway. Having that song ingrained in my brain, to drive fasting. But yeah, old games are good. I want to play some more. But like that's why my Vita's been good recently, because I've been playing a lot of like Final Fantasy 9. I loaded up Clonua.
Oh god, it's one of my favourite games ever.
Love that game, yeah, really good. Played quite well on Vita as well.
I've got the Nintendo Wii version of Clonoa.
Laura played that. We rented that from Love Film.
And it obviously works on Wii U.
Yeah.
So also, if you ever get a chance to play it, there's a really good Game Boy Advance sequel to Clonoa.
I heard that. Yeah.
Which
there was
is
Clonoa
just
2 as well, wasn't there? Which was on the PS2, I think.
PS2. Yeah, I didn't play that.
But Laura played that one first, I think. And it was
the Game Boy Advance one's it's really good. It's a side-on game, but it's built-in little game.
Yeah, but I mean, I've been downloading things like Fear Effect. I bought for like £2 ages ago.
Hell. Keep talking. I'm just going to close the curtains.
That's cool. I've got Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 all on there. I'm doing 9 first. I don't want to get over a thing. But I will be getting back into all those again. Just the Vita's just a nice machine to play this sort of stuff on. Like the PS1 games fit it really, really well. I think as a nostalgia machine, like the Vita is still brilliant.
I miss my Vita.
Yeah, I love it. I've been playing Severed on it recently. Okay, we're gonna do this. I've been playing 7 on it recently. It's good. It's given me no end of cramp. Because my left hand that has to hold the Vita also has to do the thumbstick, so I have to kind of keep it nearby. And within half an hour, my hand is on fire. Like I can't physically play more than half an hour without getting pain on that game. Which is a shame because I'm enjoying it, and it's classic Drinkbox polish. It looks gorgeous. Just a shame I can't play it very long. But like the PS1 games play so good, like Ridge Racer Type 4. A game that when I was a wee boy I'd put on the radio. I'd listen to, I think it was Radio 1 at the time I was into when I was about 13, and just play Ridge Racer 4 for 6 hours at a time. Going through unlocking all the cars one by one and having a spreadsheet and getting to a point where I could not unlock the next secret car and giving up in a bit of a huff. But yeah, man, like PS1 games on the Vita are still great, and I'd love to see some of them turn up on the PS4. Like, I know it's the pipe dream is always the Final Fantasies. That's the one everyone wants. But you know, like the weird shit. Like, give me some Crash Bandicoot. Give me an old school platform where I can just run on and run about and break things.
Crash Team Racing.
Oh, mate, imagine that online.
You see, we had a difference of opinion when Tabletop Racing World Tour was released.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
I played that for an entire day, but only on that day. I haven't gone back to it, sadly. But I put on. That was the first point where I used PS4 Spotify, which was ace.
Right.
And no idea why that's not on Xbox One yet, but get it sorted. But yeah, because the music in it was bollocks. So I put on an Australian chiptune artist called Tiasu.
Okay.
That I heard when I was watching Jen Denise play Dark Souls 3 on Twitch. And it was just really, you know, that old school sort of chiptune stuff is wonderful for this kind of game because it just feels really, it adds to the old school arcadey feel of it.
Loops and blips and driving fast.
But yeah, when I was playing it, I was thinking like, whoa, this original car is I had a similar sort of feeling to you. I was like, oh, this is a bit heavy, but it's a bit grippy. So I think maybe I'll get on better with the Mustang-looking thing that can drift. And so I learned to race with the first one, bought the Mustang, and found out that I quite like the grippy one better.
Okay.
So I continued through the game and like doing really well and getting different unlocks and stuff. And then the game suddenly gave me the options to go to the garage.
Okay.
Or told me that I could go to the garage. I presume it was there beforehand. And there you can swap out and buy like loads of different kinds of wheels, improve like the performance, the acceleration, the speed, the grippiness of your cars and stuff. And it then starts throwing like balls hard levels at you. And I came up against a point that I couldn't really go on, but I realised that the different levels have sort of, I don't know, you can't really stick with the same car on all levels because there's certain ones that you might need to drift around. There's certain ones that you might need to be a little grippier on. And I started to, at a certain point, on one of the tracks with one of the cars that I got, start to get my Mod Nation racers on again.
Oh,
where
right.
I just seem to like fucking drift around, like seemingly like string drifts, like from one to the next to the next. I really enjoyed Mod Nation. I thought it was really underrated. But yeah, I got into it, but it's far. It looks like it's purely going to be a Mario Kart type game, but it's not. I think it's got a little bit more difficulty, a little bit more strategy about it.
Okay.
I haven't played it with my friends yet, which I'd quite like to do because I think it'd be more fun with you guys. The online stuff's all right. I quite enjoyed that, but it was quite a solitary thing that I had on launch day. Where
you have to get good before you play online, don't you? So.
Yeah, but there was more to it than I thought there'd be. I thought it would be simpler and more accessible than it is, and I don't mean that as a put down. Okay. There's a lot there under the bonnet. Lol, lol, lol. Lol.
See, like for me, like I don't think I've found my PS4 racing game yet. I've tried a few of them. Like nothing has really clicked to me yet. Like nothing has had that Crash Team Racing or that Burnout Paradise kind of like. Yes, this is fucking brilliant. Like I think when I find that game, I'll be good. But like it. See, for me, I played it. I just didn't get into it. I just couldn't. I was ill and cold and broken at the same week, so I wasn't getting into anything.
I'd say take the things that I've mentioned.
I'm going to give it one more go. I've not uninstalled it. It's still there. I'm going to give it another go.
Don't just give it one more go. There's more to it than that.
It might be a 3-hour go.
I'd still say like just give it a bit more of a pop. At least we'll race together. You probably beat me, but at least
Sonic
then
Stars Racing Transformed.
Yeah, there's some nice cars in there and stuff. And when you start getting the the different variations, and you really desperately start twatting about in the garage, there's more customization there than where you kind of feel a little bit overwhelmed and you're like, I'm not sure about this, and then you go on a level and it might be the Yosushi.
I've seen that level.
Food
I like that
track,
level.
But it's quite it's quite sort of. I don't know how to say it. It's quite greasy surface to sort of go round, and you're dodging like forks and things, and trying not to hit
sushi rolls.
No, well, yeah, those are there, but there's sort of plates in the way and stuff, and there's some really good levels later on. There's one that's seemingly set on a table outside a French restaurant on the Riviera, so you see like boats in the distance, but you're dodging buns. So yeah, I think it's quite a joyous game, but I want to get the most out of it because I feel I haven't yet, and I don't know if that's because of a huge difficulty spike or I'm not good enough. Oh, and I will say that the PS4 is getting the PS4 and the Vita are getting new versions of Kick-Off, the old ST and Amiga football game from years gone by, and it's coming out on disc for £14.99.
It's reasonable.
Yeah, and Kick-Off was like a game where the ball didn't stick to your foot, that you had to kind of move your player around to kind of control the ball without it suddenly, doing a FIFA repairs and being glued there. But also, if I remember rightly, you'd have the ball in, because obviously it was just the one stick on the ST and Amiga.
Yeah.
You'd have it, you'd be running in a direction, but if you click twice, you'd run faster, but the ball would become more erratic if you did that. And say if you ran towards the corner flag and you were going to cross it, you then have to almost like click away if you were running and slow down to be able to be slow enough to cross the ball. So it's like a cracking little game.
Okay.
But $14.99
reasonable
is a great price to put that out at.
Although I do have my eye on another football game.
I know the football game you're talking about.
Yeah, it's being developed by the guy who made Ben There, Dan That.
Yeah, it's only on PC though, isn't it?
Kickmen.
No, Behold the Kickmen.
Yeah, and like there was a story in Kotaku about it, and it just made me smile. That he's been tweeting updates to this football game. He's like, I don't really like football, but I'm going to make a game. How hard could it be? It's like pitch is circular. That's right, isn't it? Got double jump working. When you get a goal now, apparently when you've done a goal, it says well done, you've done a goal, and the referee comes over and gives you a little kiss.
Did you see like some of the Twitter responses? People going like, "I'm pretty sure you don't do a goal. You score a goal." He was like, "No, I've seen things online like, do us a goal, Joey. Do us a goal."
He done a goal.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah, it legitimately looks like it might be fun. And I think one of the updates he did was like, got in bullet time for the kicking. Turns out it actually plays well now.
Well, he's brought in a guy from Manchester University to do the AI for the Kickman as well.
Yeah.
I'm up for that. I know he says that it's PC only, but I think that this might be a little bit of a runaway success, to be honest.
This seems like the kind of stupid game that turn up on the Vita.
It seems like the sort of stupid game that, yeah, I agree with you, turn up on the Vita. Kickoff's going to be great on the Vita as well, but I think it looks like the sort of game that somebody from either Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo or some sort of conversion company should just go like, look, can we have this? Here's some money. Yeah. I think that if that game turns up on like a digital download anyway, I think it'd do really well. If that turns up on a PlayStation Plus, I think you're looking at a new Rocket League with that.
I think you're right. I think that's just going to kick off.
Hey! Say no more. That's the end of the episode. There are no more puns. There is no more talking. Thank you for joining us on this soiree into episode 30. I think we should call this Amazings, because we're talking about things that are amazing, plus Kamen Rider Amazon, which is almost the same word. Anyway, thanks for listening.
That was a long train of thought. Cheers, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next one. Goodbye. Toodles.